because who doesn't love to watch a video where someone just calls themselves out throughout the entire thing? Hi everyone, my name is Chloe, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here today. Today's video is going to be me reacting to my first ever book haul on this channel. Now I think I first saw this done by Cassidy and I'll link that video down below, but I'm sure that plenty of other people have done this as well, and I just find it really fun to call ourselves out because I definitely buy a lot of books. Do I read all of them? That is the question. I actually think, I can't remember exactly what's on this haul, hence why I'm reacting to it now, but I do have a feeling that I may have read a fair amount of them. If I was to react to something that was like sort of halfway through the year, nowhere near. I think what I buy since I've been making videos has got a lot worse in a way, like better in some ways because I am definitely trying new types of books when I'm hearing people talk about them more and sort of being influenced by friends more, but because they know my reading taste, so they're making recommendations and things like that. But I only have so much time to read, so also I'm buying more books that I'm really interested in. I don't think I'm reading them just purely because I do not have the time to do it. Whereas these ones on here, I think because I probably bought less, I probably have read quite a few of them. But I also know that there's plenty on my shelves that have been on there for years that I haven't touched either. So, you know. Either way, let's just move on to it, shall we? Let us react to my first haul. So my first haul went up at the end of April, beginning of May last year. It was an April book haul. I'd had my channel for a month and yeah, it's a haul video. You know what those are. I still do them every month. Let's pull up the first one I ever did and see how many of those books I've actually read. Okay, so I figured out how to do screen recording, so we're just gonna press play. This is a video where I have to admit to how much I spent on books this month, and it's gonna be fine until we get to the last book. Stick around! I do know what that last book is. I do know I have read it, but I also know that I spent way too much money on it, and we'll call myself out on that later on, shall we? I'm pretty sure I'm about to speak about it in vague terms in a minute, but we'll get to it at the end of the video. Hi everyone, my name's Chloe, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. I am here today with my April haul. So I didn't buy that many books. I may have spent a lot of money. We're gonna get to that later on, but what I'm going to do is just talk you through everything that I bought, so where I bought it, brief synopsis, why I bought it. You know what a haul. Clearly I'm not very good at actually starting these videos or editing when I'm just sounding rambly. I hope I'm better at that now. Let's go. So the first things that I bought are actually 3 books altogether, and that is Saga volumes 2, 3 and 4. So I have read these. I am actually up to, I think I've read 2, 3, 4 and 5 now. I've slowed down with reading Saga because I know that the last one is supposed to break you a little bit, and I know that it's on a hiatus, although they have started writing again, I think. We've got to wait for the individual issues to come out before we'll get the bind up. So I've just been like slowly reading through them, but I have read all these ones, so go me. I think I'm going to talk about how I got them secondhand. So I do remember this video now I've started watching it. Done Saga volume 1 and had reread it. I was planning on continuing the series, and I saw these on eBay, so someone was selling volumes 1 to 4. I actually ended up with a second copy of 1, but I'm not hauling that one because I plan on donating that somehow. I got rid of it and I can't remember when. I just know it's not on my shelves anymore. It disappeared at some point. Have 2, 3 and 4. This is a Romeo and Juliet type sci-fi story. It tells the story of 2 sort of warring planets and species, and a couple from each of those species who fall in love, have a kid and end up on the run because they're being hunted by people who think they shouldn't be together. I've read volumes 1 to 3. Like there's so much more to the synopsis of Saga than what I said there, but I can also hear myself just like really not knowing how to describe a book, which again I hope I have got better at. This is not supposed to be like me reacting to how I filmed hauls, it's supposed to be me reacting to whether or not I read the books, but you know, we're going to see the cringe of me from 1 year ago. I'm definitely more confident in front of the camera these days. So far, so I have 4 left to read in here, although I am taking a little bit of a break because volume 3 was a nice break in the story. There are 9 volumes in total, so I will be getting the rest. I got a nice deal on these, so I ended up paying like the amount I would have paid for 1.5 new ones for 3 new ones. So I'm happy. They're the first books that I hold. I don't talk as much about how much I spent on the books at the minute, other than when I get like a really good deal on the works, because I don't want to call myself out anymore. I spend way too much money on books. We all know this. It's what makes me happy. I don't spend money on much of anything else, so books and theatre, it's where all my earnings go, pretty much. Saga, volumes 2 to 4. The next set of books that I got were all purchased in person because we were allowed to go in bookstores again in the UK. Weird that this was a year ago where I'm like celebrating, because we got into like another lockdown in like January last year, so this was like, yay, we're allowed to go book shopping again, and now you cannot keep me out of a bookstore. I go in like every day after work if I can, just to browse. I don't buy much very often, only like once every few weeks, but I just like the atmosphere of being in the bookshop, and I have a wait before my bus, so why not go into Waterstones? So I went to Waterstones. I have already hauled these in a vlog, but I thought I'd still put them in here because not everyone watches vlogs, so you can still see a little bit of a summary of what I've got. And there's no order to these, I've just literally picked them up off of my shelves and I'm just going to talk you through them. So the first one is The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boullé. I have not read this one. I have been meaning to read this one for over a year. I'm still very interested in this book. The paperback came out, and that's what goes through me, I think, when the paperback comes out and I've got the hardback and I'm just like, why have I not read it yet? I could have got it cheaper if I'd just waited, if I wasn't going to read it anyway. I'm going to explain the synopsis in a minute and I'm going to want to read it. Will I read it soon? Probably not. This is the story of a Native American girl who witnesses a murder, and she then becomes an informant for the FBI, helping them solve some drug-related murders that are happening that somehow involve her community. So it's basically about whether or not she's going to help the FBI with what they're asking her to do, or whether she needs to protect her community, because I'm guessing that there aren't necessarily the best intentions, because historically the sort of indigenous tribes of various different places have not been very well protected. Yeah, I am still interested in reading that. Why have I not read it yet? Has anyone read it? Can anyone like comment me to read it in the comments? Feel free. If you've read it, let me know. Do your best pitch. This sounds really intriguing. It's an Own Voices book. It's written by, I believe, Angeline Boullé is an enrolled... Not good at cutting out the ums and the ers in this video, clearly. Sault Ste. Marie tribe of Chippewa Indians based in Michigan. I've read a couple of books with Indigenous characters in there, and it's just a perspective that you don't see that often, and obviously is different from my own perspective, so it's interesting to read. I'm very much looking forward to this one. It's also had some recent hype because it's featured in Reese Witherspoon's YA book club, so we'll see how it goes. Also, beautiful cover. It was one of the reasons why I bought it. We all know I like a cover buy. That has not changed. Right, so we've hauled like 4 so far, but kind of 2, like Saga and Firekeeper's Daughter. I'm 50-50. Let's see how we go from here. Next up is Windwitch by Susan Dennard. So I bought this one so that I can carry on with the Witchlands Along, which is being hosted by Jade from Jadey Ray Reads. But why did I carry on with the Witchlands Along? That is the real question. I didn't like Truthwitch. I think I might have given it 3 stars, but on reflection it's probably a 2. I read Windwitch, and I think that's where I DNF the series. I didn't carry on with Bloodwitch. I watched the live shows just because they were funny, but the pacing in this series was all over the place. The world building was not great, and I just didn't like it. And I am getting better at not buying unnecessary sequels just because I want to sort of be joining in with the rest of the community when they're reading them, even if I don't like them. Like, if I will read something when I legitimately want to read it. Like, some of my friends are doing read-alongs at the minute that I'm not taking part in because I just have no interest in the book. And I think I'm getting better at that, at not sort of just falling into the hype of being part of the community. This was definitely that. It was like I was sort of discovering new groups of people on BookTube and was just really wanting to join in with everything. And yeah, maybe I shouldn't have. I really disliked this book. I can't remember the rating for this one. I think this one probably was 2 stars, but I have read it at least, so we are 2/3 now for have we read them. We're doing well so far. I read Truthwitch, didn't love it, but then after the live show was encouraged to pick up this. It's actually on my May TBR, and I will link the video to my May TBR up there if you want to check it out, but I will be reading this one soon. This is set in a world where there are different types of magic, so you can be a truth witch, who is somebody who can tell whether or not someone is speaking the truth. A wind witch can control the weather. There's also blood witches who can track people. There's various different things, and basically in the first book, Safi is the main character. She's a truth witch, and she's being hunted by a blood witch for various different reasons. She can be quite politically important because she can tell when people are lying, and it's basically her on the run. I'm not going to say much more than that. One, because I'm still confused over what actually happened, because I was waiting for that. I'm like, I'm not going to say much more because I don't think I can tell you much more. Like, I wouldn't actually be able to give you a synopsis of this. And I've just finished a book where I literally said at the end of it, I can't give you a synopsis of this, but I loved it. This wasn't that. This was, I can't give you a synopsis because none of it makes sense and I have no idea where I am. Again, why did I buy this book? Why did I read it? I knew I didn't like the first one. Right, back to the video. Because that live show confused me to no end, but also just because I think that's all you need to know. Wind Witch is following a character who was my favourite character in the first book, so although I didn't love Wind Witch, I am excited. I don't even know who that character was. I'm doing well. Carry on with this one. A lot of people have said that this is their favourite in the series, so hopefully I'll like it and hopefully I'll want to carry on with the rest of the series. If I don't, it might be that I leave it after this one, but we'll see how it goes. Next up is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. I have also read this one. I'm doing well. I also did not like this one. I have unhauled it. I passed it on to Lisa. Now I get why some people would like this one. It's got good witchy spooky vibes. It just wasn't for me. I felt like it built up to a lot and then the ending was just a bit of a disappointment. It felt like not very much really happened at the ending. And yeah, it was like a very short book and it could have been a lot longer because there was a lot more they could have done. But hopefully Lisa loved it. I passed it on to her way because I was unhauling things and she was like, yes, I will have that one. But yeah, I've read it. Didn't love it. Already unhauled it. I suppose that's a good thing that actually 2 of these books so far, the ones I didn't like, I've already unhauled, so they're not just like still taking up space on my shelves. This is a positive. We're going to take it as a positive. So this one is about 3 sisters who go missing, and then when they come back they don't remember where they went and all, but all they know is that they have a scar on the base of their neck, and then weird things start happening. All I know. All I really need to know. It sounds witchy, it sounds spooky. I am here for this cover. I love this trend of sort of like flowers on faces. I do still love that cover. I love that trend of covers still. Just unfortunately did not like the actual book. In covers, I don't know why. There's so many of them these days, but I think this one's really pretty. I haven't read anything by Crystal Sutherland before. None of her other books really intrigued me, to be honest, but this one does. So we'll see how it goes. This one isn't on my May TBR, but probably should have been because I forgot that Kayla from Books and Lala does the Buzzword-a-thon, and the word for this month is house or home. So this is perfect. It's quite a short book, so hopefully I'll be able to add this onto my May TBR and you'll see it in a wrap-up next month. Again, just trying to join in with readathons even if I wasn't actually that interested in the books at the time. I moved away from that. Next is Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell. This is... I don't actually know what this is about. I have not read this. I still could not really tell you what it's about other than like it's about mages, I believe. I'm very interested in reading this. I just have not picked it up. I know what I'm going to say in a minute. I'm going to say I bought it because of Jade's interview with Sebastian de Castell and I really liked him as a person, so I bought one of his books, which is very true. I just have not got around to reading them yet. I feel like Lisa might shout at me in the comments of this video. This is good. It says, I'm just going to read the summary. Kellen is moments away from facing his first Mage's Duel and the start of 4 trials that will make him a spellcaster. There's just one problem, his magic is gone. As his 16th birthday approaches, Kellen falls back on his cunning until a daring stranger challenges him to take a different path. So It's magic, it's majors, that's about all I know. Well, the reason I picked this one up is that Jade from Jadey Ray Reads, again, Truth Witch and Wind Witch in this one, she's definitely inspiring my book choices and Waterstones, but she'd just done an interview with the author of this, and I think everybody that watched that interview fell a little bit in love with the author and wanted to pick up some of his writing. He's wrote this, he's also wrote the Greatcoat series, which I'm also interested in, but this is YA, which I also own the first one of and haven't read yet. Greatcoats is adult. I thought this might be a good way to start reading his work because YA tends to be a little bit more accessible. So I'm very excited. It is a fairly long series. I believe there's 6 of them so far, and now there's a spin-off series as well. So I might have let myself in for quite a lot here, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know when I'll get around to reading this, but when I do, I'll let you know my thoughts. You've not got my thoughts yet, because I have not read it. And then the last book that I bought in that Waterstones book haul was Me, My Dad and the End of the Rainbow by Benjamin Dean. This is one that I also bought for a read-along, because I bought it for Middle Grade Monthly. But I have actually read this one. Go me. I liked it, didn't love it. I thought it was going to be the middle grade that finally got 5 stars. I have found the middle grade that finally got 5 stars. It was, well, first it was Christmasaurus, the 3rd one, and then It's Nevermore. But this one I enjoyed. It was good for what it was. It wasn't a perfect book. I've given thoughts on it before. But the main thing is, I have read it. Go me. This one is about a boy whose parents have split up. He doesn't quite know why, but he knows that the answer might lie at the end of the rainbow. From what I can tell, basically his dad is gay, and it is about him learning about that and learning about the LGBT community. Or at least I'm guessing so, because that picture screams LGBT community with this drag. It really does. It's just like pride in a book. Actually, the book is all about going to a pride parade. It's a very fun book, in all fairness. It just wasn't quite a 5 star. It was like a high 4 star. Queens at the bottom. I love it. It sounds really cute, really adorable. I love the middle grade and children's fiction is looking at topics like this, because I think that we should be talking to children about this. I remember when I was at school. Still very true, actually. Like, although I didn't give it a 5 star, like, for the children it's written for, yes, 5 star, recommend it to everyone. Sort of talked about in fiction at all. It was very much like a family as a mum and a dad, and that's it. And I wish that there was more discussion of the different types of love that can be out there and the different families that can be out there. So I'm very excited to read this one, and we'll see how it is. The next book that I hold was a pre-order, but actually I've already read it because I had an ARC earlier on this year, and that is Kate in Waiting by Becky Albertalli. This is about... Look at me reading things before I've actually hauled them. I did that this year, actually. I've got quite a few ARCs of things that I'm really interested in reading, and yeah, well done me. Well done. Let's hear what I had to say. We've always had communal crushes, so basically if there's a boy that one of them likes, the other one is going to as well. This is about when one of them actually has a chance with the boy, how does that affect their relationship? I really, really liked this book. It's actually one of my favourite books that I've read so far this year. If you watch my quarterly wrap up, you'll see that it was in my top 5 for the year. Alongside being this cute love story and friendship story, it's also a love letter to musical theatre. I really love. This is the beginning of my channel, so I've not talked about theatre very much, but if you've watched any of my videos by now, you know what I'm like with musical theatre. So there's a reason why I love this book. Like, it's not the best book by far, but just the theatre vibes, and I loved it. I want to reread it. This is making me want to reread it, which is a good thing. It's not only about old books, I want to read them twice. Go me. Becky Albertalli's writing. Whenever I want something that's going to be sort of just uplifting and make me feel good, I generally tend to reach for her books, or I put the Love, Simon film on, because I really do adore it. This is no exception. In terms of like her books, it's probably up there alongside Simon's always going to be my favourite. I love Upside of Unrequited because I relate to one of the characters in that so much, but this is definitely up there, which is not necessarily a good thing. With Upside. Leah on the Offbeat is just that little bit further down. I do still love it, but it's just not quite as good. This is definitely, it's not my all-time favourite of her works, but it's very, very highly rated. Also, a couple of days ago, I just got the pre-order campaign in the post, and I got a little signed booklet that has Anderson and Kate on there, and yeah, I probably will reread this at some point this year now I have my physical copy. I have not reread it yet. I have 3 more left, 2 more that I can justify, and then the last one. So the next one is Docile by K.M. Sparrow. Another one for a book club that I have actually read. This was for the Burned book clubs. I'm going to explain it in a minute. But I read this one. I gave it 4 stars. It was enjoyable isn't the right word. It was an interesting read. It was harrowing at times. It was definitely good to read. I'm glad I've read it. I don't know if I'll ever read it again, but it is still on my shelves, and I read it quite soon after this because I bought it for a particular book club, but this is one that I was like, yes, I am actually interested in reading this. So sometimes reading along with book clubs is fine. Sometimes I need to learn when to say no, but I think I have now, so yeah, go me, learning lessons. So this one I bought because I want to read it with the Burned Books Club, which is hosted by Maddie and Spoops. This is about consent, essentially. It's set in a world where all sort of debt is familial, so it's passed down from generations to generations. And if it gets to a point where it's too much, you can choose to sell yourself to be an indentured servant to pay off your debt. But you do have a choice in the type of servitude that you choose to go into, and also can we just look at the range in this like video, because we've gone from like children learning about pride to sex slaves. Just a little bit different. So there is a pill that you can take that makes you forget your situation, so you don't really know that this is happening to you. The main character in this chooses to sell himself into the line of being a sex slave, but he chooses not to take the pill because it has previously sort of ruined his family. So what that means essentially is that he is a witness to everything that is happening to him. And it's all about the idea of consent, because he has chosen this. He's chosen to tell himself into this. He's chosen this particular line, but also he's only chosen it because it was basically his only choice. So it's a lot. So from what I can tell, it's a lot about those conversations, and it sounds like it's going to be quite hard hitting. I really talked a lot in these hauls about like what the books were. Now I'm like, I have no idea what it's about. I don't want to know, but I want to read it. Bye. Like I'm very like, I wanted to talk in these videos, and it's making this reaction video very long. I'm very sorry. But in the best way. It major trigger warnings. It does say on the back that it's got forthright depictions of rape, abuse and other consent violations, as well as attempted suicide and suicidal ideation. So really be careful if you are planning on reading this. But I am looking forward to this as much as I can say I'm looking forward to a book that sounds so heavy going. And then the next books, these ones just arrived yesterday. So we have Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I read this one last month. I gave it 5 stars. I love this book so much. I've also read Circe now, and I've read Galatea, and yeah, I love this book very much so. I got this one as part of a book club actually, but I didn't read it when the book club was happening, but it was fine because I knew I was going to read it, and I have read it, and I love it. That's all I have to say. So I got this as part of the Life's Library book club, which is a subscription service which is run by John Green and Rosianna Halse Rojas. All of the money for it goes to a charity campaign that they are running, which is to help decrease infant mortality in Sierra Leone. So it's a really worthwhile book club to join. Every 6 weeks, I believe it is, you get a book, and you also get a couple of items with it. So with this one, we got like a tote bag, and then there were some stickers involved as well. All of the books on there will have been out for at least over a year. Sorry if the angle's just changed. I had to run downstairs and answer the door. How many times do I film videos and go, sorry, the angle just changed? I mean, it happened in this. The phone gave up recording halfway through. I just didn't mention it this time. Hopefully I'll have been able to stitch the clips together properly. But yeah, that's an ongoing theme that still happens very regularly. What I was saying is all of the books should have been out for at least a year, so that if you aren't joining the physical version of the book club, you can still just join the discussion part of it, because it's easy enough to grab a copy for yourself or get it from the library. Song of Achilles is one of those that I have heard lots of things about. I can't really tell you a synopsis. All I know is, see, that's more like what I'm normally like. Can't tell you a synopsis. Greek myth retelling. I'm probably going to mention Achilles and Patroclus in a minute. There we go. It's a Greek myth retelling. Madeline Miller also wrote Circe, which I have as an ebook and I'm been very excited to read, but I do want to read this one first. One, because it is a little bit smaller, I believe, so it might be I think I had it in my head that Circe was really long. It's really not, but for some reason this was just less intimidating to read. A bit easier to read, and also, although they don't follow on from each other, they are in the same sort of vein, and this was one she wrote. Actually, I am glad I read it in this order because Achilles and Patroclus, I can never remember if I'm pronouncing his name right, I'm very sorry, are referenced in Circe. And although I knew a little bit of both of the myths, I knew more of Song of Achilles actually than of Circe, so it would have been fine, it wouldn't have spoiled anything. I'm glad that I did read it that way around because Circe is mainly set afterwards and there are quite a few characters that cross over. So clever me, clever past me. So I thought I should read this one first and then we get on to the last book. So if any of you have watched my recent videos, you will have seen me talk about the fact that I missed out on ordering the Dosab box from Illumicrate. Also, if any of you are eagle-eyed, you might have noticed I actually have some items from the Dosab box behind me. So basically, I had missed out on ordering the Dosab box, but Illumicrate were selling the second and the third ones, and I had pre-ordered those with hopes that I would be able to get the first one. I've read this book, but yeah, you're gonna hear a story. I missed out on getting it. I did end up getting it, but at what cost? At what cost, Chloe? The past item sale, wasn't able to get that because it was a nightmare sale situation for everyone involved. So what I did is I bought the paperback version, got a nice signed one from Forbidden Planet, and I convinced myself that I would be fine with having a paperback version of this and a hardback version of those two. Those ones, by the way, I'm not hauling today because they literally came this morning and it is now May, so you'll see those next month. But then basically in the last couple of weeks, everyone's books started arriving that they got from the past item sale. Do you remember I talked about how I like to just join in on things and I get FOMO? Happens with other people buying books as well. Well, I got very jealous. I looked at my bank account and I realised that because everything's been closed, I've not spent that much money, which meant that I could afford to splash out a little bit. So I went on eBay and I tracked down a full Dosab box for a little, I'm not even going to tell you how much, just too much. Too much. Too much. I still look at it and think I spent a lot of money on that box. Do I regret it? No. I'm pretty sure I'm going to say that later on in this video. I love it. It's one of my favourite things that I own. I've read it. I've read the entire series. I own multiple copies of the entire series. It's fine. I read it. It's fine. Money. Let's just say this. I don't agree with people buying boxes to flip them afterwards. I will say that. I've decided going forward that my rule is that if I'm vaguely interested in a box, buy it then and there, and then I can sell it on at a reasonable price. This has actually worked out for me so far. I bought the Greenbone Saga, was vaguely interested in it. I read the entire thing. I absolutely loved it. I bought the Madeline Miller set. I read them both. I absolutely loved them. I have my eyes on other sets. I have already ordered the Scythe set by Neil Schusterman. Have I read those ones? No. We're really hoping that I do. If not, I will be selling them on at a reasonable price because we do not do extortion on this channel. If I don't like it, because yeah, I'm not going to sell it on to make lots of excessive money on it because I just don't think it's fair. But that being said, I finally have the Dosab Illumicrate book and I'm so happy about it. It came yesterday. Look how happy I am. It's worth it. Look at the smile on my face. And oh, it's so pretty with its blue sprayed edges. And then we have just the gorgeousness of the quote underneath. This is very me, just look how pretty my book is. Just to show all of the customizations. That's still what I do in my hauls now. And then the artwork. Oh, it's so good. Did not think to just refilm that bit when there wasn't a motorbike going past outside. I regret nothing. I mean, I do. My bank account regrets things, but I don't regret it. That's the way I see it. And yes, it is nice now, especially now that the other two came this morning. It is nice to have a full set of the hardback versions. And yeah, Illumicrate's just announced they're doing a box set for Raybearer. Haven't read Raybearer, but I've been interested in reading it, so guess who's probably going to buy the special edition just to make sure that this doesn't happen again. I bought that special edition. I haven't read it yet. So basically what I've got to at the end of the month is that I've ended up spending about £300 on books this month, which is, yeah, not the best. I mean, and that's not even including like, I didn't get my April subscription from Illumicrate in April. It's coming next week. So if that would have come, it would have been like closer to $2 to $3.50. Some people spend money going having their hair done, some people go out, some people buy books. Some people do all of the above, but I say spend your money in the way whatever makes you happy. Yeah, I spent way too much money on books this month. So these are the books that I hold. Right, we're gonna leave it there because that is everything in that haul. As I said in that, I don't regret any of those purchases. I do regret that I haven't read some of them, because actually everything that I haven't read in that video I'm still very interested in, so, you know, might have to look into reading those sooner rather than later. But I think I did quite well actually for how many I have read, and some of those that I have read are like all-time favourites, and the ones that I didn't like I unhauled. So, you know, I'm not actually calling myself out too much. This video turned out very different than I expected it to. Right, that's everything. I just wanted to react to my first haul and see whether I read them, and actually I'm pleasantly surprised and quite happy with myself, so I feel like I've done well in this video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff down below. Let me know if you are actually reading the books that you haul, or if you're just letting them sort of pile up on a bookshelf and forgetting that they exist, because later on in the year that is definitely what I did. I just, like, the first haul on my channel just happened to be a really good one, so yeah, definitely. If you did, I should probably react to a later one where I'm just like, yeah, I haven't read that, haven't read that, haven't read that. Anyway, as I said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time with a new video. Bye.